G'day, it's fugitive Australian journalist Shane Dowling from the website and YouTube channel Kangaroo Court of Australia. Now I'm about to show you a video from the Senate hearing on Tuesday the 23rd of June 2026. Penny Wong has asked questions by Senator Steph Hodgins-May, and once again, as per usual, Senator Penny Wong ducks and weaves. But it's fairly amusing, especially at the end there. Now that's in relation to gas companies ducking and weaving, not paying their fair share. They should be paying an extra $17 billion in tax, at the very least. Now, when Penny Wong is finished answering Senator Hodgins-May's questions, the senators have 3 minutes to respond to the people who they've asked questions and their failure to answer those questions. And Senator Hodgins-May doesn't miss, totally unloads and says comments such as, "It's a remarkable coincidence that what Labor says is best for Australians is always what's best for those multinational gas corporations. What a coincidence." And she also says Labor is working for the gas industry, working for their big donors. And after that, Senator David Shoebridge unloads, and it's worth watching just for that. I'll show you the video now.
Thank you. To the Minister representing the Prime Minister, Minister Wong. Minister, Australians are watching energy prices rise as the fallout of Donald Trump and Israel's war on Iran ripples through global gas markets. At the same time, multinational gas exporters are profiting from our resources that they pay little tax on. The Senate inquiry into the taxation of Australia's gas resources, including Labor members, found that the case for a gas export tax should be revisited once the conflict in Iran is resolved. Just last week, your own press release welcomed this supposed peace deal, saying, "We are pleased the agreement between the US and Iran includes steps towards reopening the Strait of Hormuz." Minister, will your Labor government now finally have the courage to take on the gas corporations and implement a minimum 25% tax on gas exports?
Thank you, Senator Hodgins-May. Minister Wong.
Thank you, President. Thank you to the Senator for her question. And what I would say to her is, first, I think we want the agreement for the ending of the conflict in the Middle East to hold, but I think we are also aware that this is a challenging process, and even if the agreement continues to hold, it will take some time for global supply and global markets to return to where they were, and in fact they may not return to precisely the same shape and dimensions that they were prior to the conflict. So the premise of your question, I understand what you're advocating, but the premise of your question is we're back to normal now, or we aren't. And it has been the largest shock to energy markets ever, even more than the 1970s, and so it will take some time to recover from that. In relation to the substantive issue, which is your proposition, we do agree that gas companies should pay their fair share of tax, and that is, and we also believe Australians should have a fair share of the benefit of gas. And I think you might have asked me questions before where I've explained why we believe the priority at the moment is the gas reservation scheme, which has benefits for our economy, for workers and for businesses and for households, is the priority at the moment, and that is what the government is focused on delivering.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Hodgins-May's first supplementary.
Minister, you've had millions, literally millions of Australians calling for a gas export tax, yet from what I can gather, you only seem to be taking advice from a handful of gas executives and Donald Trump. Why won't you ensure that there is a fair public return on Australia's publicly owned natural resources? Your reservation policy will not raise a cent of revenue. Please answer that question for me, for my colleagues and for the millions of Australians demanding more.
Thank you, Senator Hodgins-May. Minister Wong.
Senator, I do find this tendency where we disagree with you for the Greens political party to suggest it's on some other grounds than a genuine assessment of what we believe is best for the Australian people. Our judgment is based on what is best for the Australian people, what is best for our economy and what is best for households, what is best for businesses. Now, so I think the casting aspersions on intention and motivation really is not a reasonable thing to do. We just don't agree with you Well, you can laugh, Senator. Senator Shoebridge, you always, you sneer regularly, but it is really unfair to suggest anything other than we have a different view. We have a different assessment about what is good for workers. We have a different assessment about what is good for businesses, and we have a different assessment about what is good for the economy. And as Senator Ayres has gone through in detail many times, we believe the priority at the moment should be a domestic gas reservation
Thank you, Minister.
scheme.
The time for answering has expired. Senator Hodgins-May, second supplementary.
Minister, isn't it the truth that Labor simply adopts whatever the arguments the gas industry puts forward at the time? Shortages when a new gas project needs approval, oversupply when its weak reservation policy needs defending, all to avoid taxing gas exports and making multinational corporations pay what they owe.
Thank you, Senator Hodgins-May. Minister.
Domestic gas reservation scheme is a very, very substantial reform. I have to be honest, it has not been universally supported by the gas sector. And you've seen that various Conservative parties, I think including One Nation, but I could be wrong, but certainly parts of the coalition have not been supportive of it. It is a very substantial change to Australia's economic position. As I said, not universally supported by every company in the gas sector. So again, the premise of your question is wrong. We make judgments about what we believe is the best thing for Australian workers, for Australian businesses and Australian households, and our judgment is those interests are best served by the creation of a domestic reservation system for Australian gas so that we can get a fair share of that gas here in Australia.
Thank you, Minister.
Now, this next section is at the Senate hearing. Once they've asked all their questions, the senators get to respond, to say what they think of the answers they received from the various ministers and MPs. And you'll see Senator Hodgins-May and Senator David Shoebridge respond in relation to Senator Penny Wong and her failure to adequately answer the questions. And I'll show you that now.
Senator Hodgins-May.
Thank you, Deputy President. I rise to take note of the answers given by the Minister representing the Prime Minister about a gas export tax. The Minister says Labor wants what is best for the Australian people. What is best? Apparently what's best for Australians is giving away $17 billion a year in revenue while multinational gas corporations make billions exporting Australian gas. It's a remarkable coincidence that what Labor says is best for Australians is always what is best for those multinational gas corporations. What a coincidence. We're told that these corporations are paying a fair share, but who decides what a fair share is? Under Labor, these corporations are marking their own homework. Then we get a lecture about global instability, conflict in the Middle East and uncertainty in energy markets. Well, the Minister even suggested that things may never return to normal. So is that the most recent excuse? Is that the new reason that Australians can never expect a fair return on their gas resources? Because if we're waiting for the gas industry to tell us the conditions are right, the answer will always be the same. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. We're told Labor's gas reservation policy is the answer, but that policy will not raise a single cent of revenue. Not one extra dollar for housing, not one extra dollar for energy costs and cost of living relief, not one extra dollar to fund the transition to clean, secure energy. The truth is there will always be another excuse, another delay, another reason to kick this can down the road. After 4 years in government, Labor has made it incredibly clear who they are in this place working for. They are in here working for the gas industry, working for their donors. They are not working for the Australian people, and they have got to go.
Senator Shoebridge. Order.
Thanks very much, Acting Deputy.
Senator Shoebridge, you have 3 minutes.
Thanks very much, Deputy President. Well, that got Senator Wong agitated, didn't it? That got Senator Wong agitated. A bit of truth-telling from my colleague, Senator Hodgins-May, about the fact that we know who writes Labor's gas policy. We know who writes Labor's gas policy. Woodside writes Labor's gas policy. Santos writes. They probably come together in a nice little room and then deliver it to the Labor Party and say, this is in Australia's national interests because the member for Woodside agrees with it. Sorry, the Resources Minister agrees with it. That's what they say. And isn't it just a surprise that every single former Labor federal resource minister, ends up when they leave politics, where do they go and get a job? The resources industry, the gas industry. And what we find time and time again, when there's a debate about whether or not there'd be a 25% gas export levy put on, what we find is that Labor members, particularly from WA, which is, let's be frank about it, a petro state run by WA Labor, we find WA Labor members come out here one after the other and just read onto the record the talking points from Woodside, time and time and time again. And now we get this linguistic gymnastics from Senator Wong. Senator Wong is asked about the position that the Labor members put in the gas export inquiry. And in that position, the Labor members agreed to a finding that, you know, when things settle down, when there's some kind of, next stage in the war in the Middle East, then Labor will consider a 25% gas export tax. When things settle down, of course, on the 15th of June, Senator Wong came out and welcomed Donald Trump's, apparent peace deal in the Middle East. Now, the Greens have always said, why on earth did Labor support the war in the first place? Are they embarrassed by that position? Were they surprised when supporting Donald Trump and Netanyahu's war of aggression went off the rails? Apparently Labor was surprised when that went off the rails. Maybe they should learn more. But what we find is this. On the 15th of June, Senator Wong comes out, welcomes this peace agreement, and is talking about the positivities. And then when she's asked, well, OK, well, now will you put a tax on gas exports? Now will you do it? We get a different set of talking points. You see, it's one conversation to keep Donald Trump happy, and then it's another conversation here to keep the gas lobby happy. And who gets cut out each and every time? The Australian public, the national interest. You see, if you've got a government that on the one hand is trying to please Donald Trump and on the other hand is trying to please the gas lobby and the gas exporters, who gets cut out every time? The Australian public. It's about time they got to stay in this place.
Your time has expired.
Thanks for watching, and I'm an independent journalist and I'm 100% crowdfunded from viewers like yourself, which helps me publish a Kangaroo Court of Australia website, YouTube channel and podcast. That'd be greatly appreciated if you support, and all the donation options on the donations page of my website. And also there's a link to the donations page below this video on YouTube. And please do your bit and help shine a light on corruption and share this video on social media. Please hit the like and subscribe button and notification button on YouTube. That way you get notified when I publish new videos. Other than that, thank you for your time and have a good day.